Dun, 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 dun. Why am I not capturing the game? Because I was playing Darkest Dungeon, which is awesome, but now I'm not. All right. I think some people are still coming in. So, let's make sure here. We are local recording. Excellent. So if you are watching this on YouTube, do be noted that the first 10-ish minutes of this are probably going to be mostly setting things up, because I'm all going to do a lot of straw polls and things like that to figure out exactly how we want to play. So we're going to be playing on Apollo difficulty, and I'm going to try to be polling the audience as much as possible. So the question is, will this be like the best and most powerful game of Civ Beyond Earth ever? Or are we going to fail horribly because of the chaos that is polling a Twitch chat for information? I don't know. We're going to find out. Going to load up some mods. I got some good ones here. There is a linky-doo. I don't know if it's in the chat pop-up yet. It'll be in there if you want to know what the live streams are. They will be listed relatively soon where I get these mods. But just little UI things. None of these change gameplay in any way whatsoever. They just affect the UI and are pretty good. All right, so we got our mods in here. We're going to win the single player setup game. Let's get her going. We should be on Apollo difficulty, which I think... Yes, Apollo difficulty is in there. Excellent. All right. I got some straw polls. So, now, I don't think I'm going to ask in the order that it asks here. We're going to start off first by asking which map type we should play. Hold on. Poll. Map type poll. Because I think that this will actually inform quite a few of our other decisions, right? If we're going to play on a Pangea, which in my opinion... and this was the case in Civ 5, and I think it's maybe even more the case in Beyond Earth. I think Pangea actually gives you the most balanced experience, because it's too easy for someone to sort of be isolated somewhere and just run away with the game and be quasi-unstoppable. Especially since on most maps, until you get into the very late game, all your ships are just going to be eaten by sea dragons anyway, so doing any kind of naval assault is very, very dicey. So I think Pangea is probably the best map overall, but it'll be interesting to see what people want to do. On the other hand, going with something like Continents or an Archipelago or something like that does open up the possibility of really getting some value out of the... Wow, that was loud. Was that loud for anyone else? I thought it was loud. Hello and welcome, new subscriber, Red Dwarf fan 001. Oh my god, Red Dwarf. Such a good TV show. A lot of people don't know what it is. Like an old British sci-fi comedy show from, what, early 90s? Late 80s, maybe? Like, I feel like it was on, like, 1,000 years ago, but it's hilariously funny. Change stream title to Twitch Plays Civ. No, because it's not the normal Twitch Plays where you just, like, type things in and things happen, but, you know. Straw polls. Looks like Continents is winning the map, so I will pick Continents once we get to that point. So let's keep that in mind when we make the rest of our picks. I do think that, assuming you're on a non-Pangea map, I think the Continental Coastal Outliner Scanner, whatever the actual ability is called, I think it probably is the strongest of those abilities on that particular page. All right, so now let's backtrack and pick which sponsor we're going to play. So this is going to be the... Oh, by the way, if you're watching over on the 2K or Firaxis Twitch channel, you won't see these links. You'll have to be in the actual twitch.tv/Quill18 chat to see these links that I'm spamming out here. Hello, Kadinos! Welcome to the party. Sponsor poll. Sponsor poll. Wabam! And... EZ6PLFST, thank you for subscribing. That is quite a challenge to say. So what are people looking for? A lot of Franco Iberia. Franco Iberia, of course, used to be almost certainly the most powerful Civ in the game, because they really had a crazy virtue engine. But they've been nerfed just a little tiny bit. Basically, over the course of the game, you can probably expect to get 2 free virtues out of their abilities. But it is a very, very solid pick. Nothing wrong with that. Slavic Federation now taking the lead. Pan-Asian. Oh my god, it keeps bouncing around. African Union, Pan-Asian Cooperative. They are all neck and neck. What the heck's going on? Actually, Franco Iberia is down to 4th place, but it's still super close. Looks like the Slavic Federation is gaining more and more of an edge, which is interesting. Why the Slavic Federation? To me, this has the absolute weakest ability in the entire set. Like, ooh, my orbital units are slightly more effective. I mean, admittedly, I probably underuse orbital units, but, yeah. Do people just like the color orange? That might be fine. That's understandable. Did the stream just freeze? No, I don't think so. Getting 0 dropped frames. Everything should be okay. Bump, 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 bump. Most likely, and I kind of screwed up on my my continents poll. I realized I allowed multiple pick. I probably should have allowed multiple pick for the other straw polls too. I think I just forgot to hit the checkbox. Looks like we're mostly locking in the Slavic Federation. They have 19% of the vote, 20% of the vote. Obviously, it's really, really spread out. African Union is second at 16, Pan-Asian Cooperative at 13, tied with Franco-Iberia at 13%. ARC 11, Brasilia 10, Kavithan Protectorate 10, and Paul Australia way down at the bottom at 7%. All right, looks like the Slavic Federation. I think we're going to be locked in on that. So really interesting. We can make excellent use of the solar collectors, but also the ones that well, there's also the what is it, the holographic matrix or whatever, gives you more culture. That's pretty good. But then there's the two that give you more production or more food, but also spawn more basic units over the course of the satellite's life, which is pretty interesting. Hello, Frolton. Thank you very much for subscribing, Frolton. At least, you know, yours looks like a name. So thank you for that. That makes it a little bit easier. All right, so we are locked in on the Slavic Federation. So done. Next up, we've got to choose our colonists. Now, this is interesting. Back in the day, where's my link for this? Back in the day, it was obvious. You just picked artists. It was by far the most OP. And the reason for that is it gave you culture and health. 2 culture and 1 health. There's also aristocrats, which I think give you 3 energy and 1 health, which was okay. You mostly picked them all for the health. This is the colonist poll. Bam. And so now it's a little less clear. I still think the artists are probably the most potent of the bunch. I really do think they're probably the best. Last game I played, the one that's it's not quite done on. I've technically finished the Let's Play, but the current Let's Play that's on my channel. I think I can't remember actually what I picked for my colonists, but I feel that I went either refugees or engineers, and I tried to make a very food-centric, production-centric empire. Lots of internal trade routes, that sort of thing. And that ended up floundering, I think, because there wasn't quite enough science output overall. I mean, I was doing all farms all the time, plus a little bit of mines. Not much use of academies until right at the very end. And so, you know, I wanted to see what it'd be like to just try to get that engine going, but because the science wasn't quite there, I don't think it was quite good. So it'll be interesting to see. Essentially says, Quill is all about those polls, No chat spam. Now we're all going to have that in our heads. All right, which colonists are currently winning? Wow, +2 production is currently in the lead. Now, I'm curious. Are people picking these because they legitimately think, like, this is the best, most overpowered thing, or are they looking for something that's kind of interesting? I don't know. And it's going to be difficult to get to the satellite technology to take advantage of the Slavic Federation bonus if we can't tech up too terribly hard. Pull integration is great. Yeah, I do the straw polls because otherwise you just lose control of the chat completely. You can't see anything. And that's the way we can discuss why certain ideas are good in the chat while voting on a separate thing. Plus, I really like the graphs. Like, where do I get them? If I pull this over, like this, and then bring this like that, like. I love it. Very satisfying. Actually, we should be showing off more of these graphs a little bit more. So clearly production is going to win. I don't think there's any way for science to come out. I mean, it's only 13 votes in behind. I will say there is a slim chance. The votes are still coming in. They are coming in very, very, very slowly. There's a chance science could still win. It seems unlikely. I'm going to, if I let it go to like 400 total votes, that will, you won't be able to reach it anyway. So I think we're going to be locked in on +2 promotion or production. Whether that's, you know, ideal or not, I don't know. But we're going to have extra production from bringing a bunch of engineers. Finally, we get to pick, or not finally, there's one more thing after this. Right now, we get to bring our spacecraft component. Spacecraft pole. Bam. So, again, since we are going continental map, I have to feel that Continental Surveyor is the best pick. It's like turns out to be crazy. Originally, when the game was announced, I thought it was going to be one of the weakest. Like, oh, because I thought it just maybe on the mini map shows me where the coast lies, but it actually reveals 100% of the coast tiles from the beginning. So not only do you get outline of the continents, you actually see quite a few tiles, including places where there's algae, petroleum, that sort of thing. Also, all your coastal cities can run coastal trade routes right from the beginning because there's no maximum range on there. So it's really good. I will say I quite like the tectonic scanner as well. The retrograde thruster is probably okay as well. Mostly, I like the retrograde thruster for the increased vision. Usually, the spot it picks for your first city is usually a really good cluster of resources, so rarely do I have to move very far, but the enhanced vision is super strong. Actually, I guess that's what it comes down to. Both the Continental Surveyor and retrograde thrusters give you massive amounts of vision, and that's why I like it. Looks like right now, I'm still that way, so if I do that, right now we can see the Continental Surveyor has a massive lead, and I think there's no way for it to lose, so we are clearly going with the Continental Surveyor. So let's go ahead and pick that. And now we get to choose which cargo. I think that's all that's left. Yes. Cargo pole. Blam! So this is the final one to know. Now, I feel very, very strongly here that machinery is the no-brainer strongest pick. Starting with the worker is insanely, insanely valuable. Let's pull that over there. Got the continent pole, which I can get rid of now. Starting with the free worker is stupid, stupid good. But, I mean, I can't deny that starting with the laboratory, a clinic right away, you get a few extra ticks of science. That's pretty good. What else did they do? Laboratory gives you the pioneering technology. The raw materials gives you the clinic. That's right. This does save you a tech, which means you can expand a little bit sooner. Now, usually I don't worry about starting with pioneering tech because I find usually I just start researching it right away. And by the time I'm ready to build a colonist, I have the technology. So starting with it is somewhat less of an incentive to me. To me, it seems like a pretty good combo, maybe, if you went with also the tectonic scanners, because then you could potentially colonize really early and you would know exactly where to go. So if we do start with the laboratory and start with the pioneering technology, then I think we're really going to have to prioritize maybe uncovering titanium resource. Whoa! Sorry about the noise! That is way too loud. I'm going to go and turn that down. My apologies. The very first donation, first tip of the day is always quite loud, because, how do I open the correct mixer, please and thank you, because it's always the record-breaking one. Okay, we're going to bring that way, 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 way down. But I do want to say thank you, Eleneth, for the tip. Also, bonus stream equals bonus happiness. Hopefully that converts to happiness in the game as well. All right, so let's see. Where is this poll status? People definitely want machinery. Okay, so this is a tight poll. There was a lot of back and forth. Maybe I influenced too much by making the decision. But a worker is it's so strong. It is so strong. I think it's the right pick all the time. There's a little bit of an argument for, even a little extra population. But I'd rather have one population that's working an improved tile from the start than anything else. So that is it. Those are our picks. Let's get started. Continental map, Continental Surveyor, Slavic Federation, +2 production per city, and +2 production per city, and we start with pioneering, and we've got the worker. They're free. Yeah, worker's very powerful start. It's gotta be the best. Gotta be the best. All right. So we do have the Continental Surveyor. It's kind of interesting that you don't actually see the continent before you land. I think it's the same thing if you take the tectonic scanner, which allows you to see titanium and so on and so forth. I don't think you actually see it until you land. That applies also in multiplayer. If you're on a team together, it doesn't happen until someone lands. But then as soon as someone does land, the other player gets to see stuff. So if one person has the tectonic scanner, that person lands first, and then I think the other player will then be able to see titanium around them. So a good combo might be like tectonic scanner plus retrograde thruster, so the second person can make sure to colonize there. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't colonize in the middle. Let me put the focus back over here so we can zoom in a little bit. This will get us the 2 chitin right away. If we go here, we lose 1 chitin. We get a bunch more ocean tiles, which doesn't seem to be particularly beneficial. For all we know, there might be a little bit of algae over here. But maybe, maybe someone will say something in the chat. But I'm pretty confident that we can just drop our settlement right here. I do like also that we start with the fungus in our initial radius, whereas if we were here, we wouldn't, because we do start with a worker, so it becomes that much more important to make sure that from turn 1, your worker can stay busy. So it looks like we're all right. Let's pop in, and yeah, let's make sure we've flipped back over to proper game capture, like so. Get rid of those borders. And yes, I usually run my my games in Windows mode when I do recording, especially for streaming, because it's easier to tab in and out and do that kind of stuff. You guys will let me know if the game volume is okay, too loud, too quiet, too whatever. I will move my stupid face out of the stupid way of some of these buttons over here, for example, like that. All right. Yeah, Demivirus says there's a latency. There's a delay between what I do and what you guys see, and then you got to type. So, but Demivirus is right in the middle, which is where this is. Seems good. So we did get the bonus production in Kraybrust over here. 2 from the colonist type. So 7 production rate from the start is pretty sexy. Also, what's really nice here is they actually put my worker near the fungus, which usually puts it like always on the other side. I guess it doesn't matter. It's on a hill. It's going to eat a move regardless. We're going to go down here and maybe pop the coast. And you know what? No, I think I'm going to go a little bit more inland here. Okay, right away we've got 2 sources of floatstone. These are not huge stacks of floatstone, though. So it's not enough to say we must go purity. Just like the fact that we got Xenote Mass here is not enough to say that we must go harmony. But, you know, it's sort of waggling its eyebrows in that general direction. Let's go ahead and put a plantation on the fungus. Okay, let's do another poll here. This one's going to be a little quickie, but I'm curious to see what people might say. Opening build order. And I won't actually say anything until the votes start to come in, at least. So possibilities might be something like Relic Clinic. We could also go Relic Scout. We could go Clinic Relic. Clinic Scout. Something with the worker. So like Relic not worker. Soldier. Relic soldier, or maybe clinic soldier. Solider. I keep spelling solider. Now I have a pretty strong belief about how to start here, but we'll see how it goes. And I will allow multiple poll choices. So if 2 of them look pretty decent, you could always pick 2. And opening build poll, like so. Very curious to see what people might have to say about that. So, oh, and I should swing it back over here and look at that. Relic Scout. I definitely do believe that you have to start with the Relic first. I think that is absolutely critical. I think it's one of the strongest starts that you can do. Was that a sound from something? Oh, Combat Zerg. Yeah, I had my local volume a little bit low. Oh yeah, because I lowered the stream tip alerter. Combat Zerg, a very long time viewer and subscriber. Thank you very much for that really generous tip. Keep up the good work. Well, I will try. Relic Scout. Okay, and I was curious about what people would say about the second pick. The second pick here. Because Relic, I think, is a no-brainer. Do you go Scout or do you go Clinic? Maybe it depends on the map. Maybe it depends on your build. Clinic is nice because you do get the extra science a little bit sooner. But I really think that the extra Scout is really valuable. I think it's doubly important if you're on a Pangea. We're not on Pangea, we're on continent. But the continents still have a fair bit of stuff to research. And I love popping those goodie huts. So we are going to start with a Relic and then go from there. Research! Oh my god, I'm going to need one more poll. I forgot about that. Right, we didn't start with pioneering. However, I really feel that starting with pioneers, I thought we had the pioneering tech. I forgot we ended up going worker. I think that pioneering first is kind of required. And honestly, in our start, we might want to go really early planetary survey for the algae. The other things I like to get early is chemistry. Not so much because revealing petroleum early I don't feel is very important, but getting the laboratories and recyclers are very good. Pioneer early also lets you do trade depots, although it takes a little while before it's safe to use. I like an early engineering to reveal titanium because it's such an important resource to put a mine on. Early physics is not critical to me. It's better if you have fraxite, of course. Well, you need fraxite to really build them. But the rangers are pretty strong. Usually I'm a little slower on that. Obviously genetics is kind of important for the farmer lab. You do want to get your spies, but And there's a couple options down here too. The ultrasonic fence is actually important to make your trade depots work properly because of the quest decision, but we might want to go for an early cognition as well. Right now, I'm going to start off with pioneering. You guys give it some thinking, maybe some discussion in the chat before we do a straw poll, and then we'll think about what we might want to do after pioneering. But I think starting with pioneering is perfectly fine. The first sort of couple of techs almost doesn't matter the order you pick it in because you're not going to have time to build something right away anyway. You'll have a couple of techs ready to go by the time you really have something that you want to produce. Because I will go and build the clinic. Where's the queue here? Let's activate the queue. So after the Old Earth Relic, we're going to go Explorer followed by a clinic. And I'm pretty confident in that particular build order. What tile are we working? We're working this tile here. If I had the energy, I would actually go and buy that tile instantaneously because we'd get a lot more food. This is fine for now, and once we improve the fungus, then we'll go and do that. Hey, do you know why the mushroom was invited to the party? Because he's such a fun guy. Yeah. Dad jokes. All right, our first alien over here, wolf beetle, on some basalt, basalt, basalt. However people prefer to say it. And some more Xenomass. Now, the nice thing about Xenomass is improved. Even if you're not going Harmony, an improved Xenomass is sick. Hey! And we got our first goodie hut. I mean, resource pod. I mean, tribal village. Goodie huts. Okay, one of the best things I like to get, especially out of an early goodie hut, is the culture. We get to pick our first virtue right away, which means it's definitely time for a straw poll. Now, I will say, even if we're not planning on going knowledge, some people really like to grab the first two knowledges because A, as long as you're healthy, foresight's pretty good, and B, field research early on is very, very nice. It doesn't mean as much later on, but some people will rush up here and then go industry or prosperity, or maybe might. Might seems a little bit less of a thing. So let me get a straw poll up. And we're going to put virtue, might, prosperity, knowledge, industry. And then I'm going to follow that up with, what's it called? Field research, right? Field research, then might. Field research, then prosperity. And finally, field research, then industry. Obviously, I don't have to put field research, then knowledge, because if we go knowledge, we'll just pick it up. I can do multiple poll choices if you feel a couple of them would be acceptable. So let's go and grab that. Virtue poll. And then one of the other things we could do is we could do some sort of crazy, like, all tier 1 all the time. But generally speaking, your priority in my mind with a virtue is to rush down to somewhere that gives you a little bit more happiness, because you need some global happiness. Because of the way the game works, happiness buildings in the city produce local happiness, or health, sorry, I played too much Civ 5, which is capped by the population size. Well, your population gives you unhappiness for every unit anyway. So the best a city can do with its happiness buildings or health buildings is cancel its own unhappiness from population. The problem is you also get unhappiness for every city that you have, and the only way to counter that was some sort of global happiness or global health, which you can get in a few different places. So for example, prosperity, you get mind over matter over here, and then later you get eudaimonia, which effectively works the same way. In knowledge, you've got the +1 health for every 6 population in the city. I don't know I think that might be all the health that you get in the knowledge tree. In industry, you get profiteering, which is half a unit of health for every trade under your command, trade unit under your command. And I thought there was another one. Yeah, Magnasanti. 0.2 health for every building, which is pretty good. And I think these are all global. And then under virtue, you've got one for units. Is it higher up? Oh, it's right down here, public security, a 1/4 point of health for every military unit under your command. So those are like the thing that the virtues are key for, and you're trying to get to those at a useful time. So there's an almost tie between straight up knowledge and field research, then industry. Since I actually went all industry basically in my very last game, my Let's Play, I will go ahead and accept the fact that knowledge is currently winning. So we're going to go pure knowledge. We are certainly going to go foresight into field research. And then our goal will be to try to get community medicine relatively early, which is pretty strong. And then we are probably going to get learning centers down here and do like academy spam as much as possible. What I'll probably do in my capital, I will probably focus, I was going to say on farms and mines, but honestly, there's not that much workable terrain over here. Because I was going to say, have high production in my capital, and then everywhere else maybe tech a little bit more. We might do it the other way around. My capital might be my science center, and then we might try to find a high production city.